First up, a confession. I've never seen an episode of the series or watched any of the previous Ultraman movies. This is my first ever interaction with Ultraman, other than the cheap fake toys at the local variety stores. As a first timer, coming into the Ultraman multiverse with no prior knowledge, what did I think of this reimagining, remake, modernization of the classic series? I'm the Artie Dance from Asian Film Fans, and let's check out why I loved this movie so much. Kaijus have awakened in Japan due to environmental catastrophes, but as the movie makes a hilarious reference to, they only appear in Japan. An elite Japanese task force tracks and attempts to defeat these monsters, but during one mission, a large, mysterious, silver, giant, human-shaped extraterrestrial, try saying that all in one breath, appears and easily defeats the terrifying monster, and then promptly disappears. Dubbed Ultraman, he appears again to save the day, which then leads to a mysterious alien figure appearing on Earth looking to create a political pact with the Japanese leaders. The movie then continues for close to 2 hours with some more wackiness and craziness. From a purely entertainment point of view, this movie knocks it out of the park. It's very high energy and moves along at a very rapid pace. Essentially, the movie has condensed a 10 or 20 episode series into a 2-hour feature-length movie. The high energy is complemented by the film's sublime presentation. The editing never misses a beat, because the film is edited on the beat. Virtually every new line of dialogue spoken results in a new camera angle, and the types of camera angles we get are just insane. The movie has taken the rule of thirds and thrown it completely out of the window. Framing where there is far too much headroom, clearly done for comedic purposes, or shots at ridiculously low angles are frequent, as are the clever shots where the camera is placed at the end of a prop, such as when Masami is using a remote control to skip frames forward on a video the team's reviewing. The movie knew it had to keep you interested due to its pace, and it does it via the editing. And the effects too. There's a nice blend of CGI and practical effects, which is a nice little throwback to the original series. The filmmakers have even added in some classic music, and thrown in some retro-style visual effects such as VHS color bleed, or as the young people now call it, chromatic aberration. I'm not familiar with Ultraman costumes, or the costumes of kaiju and the enemies that appear in this film, but I did like them. Ultraman's costume is rather simple. It reminds me of Pepsi Man actually, and yes, I know Ultraman came first. Another thing I really adored about this film is all the self-referential humour. There is a funny discussion about why only kaiju appear in Japan, and how the whole world won't help them, but are happy to sell them weapons to fight them. There's also all the scientific talk that's delivered so straight-laced that adds to the campy humour. Masami Nagasawa is great in her role as Hiroki Asami, but then you wouldn't expect anything less from her. She's fantastic as always in this film, and her constant references to being a buddy is a nice running gag in the film. It's definitely not a complex role for her, but that's what makes it fun. Alongside Hidetoshi Nishijima, controversial comment coming up. I liked him in this movie far better than I liked him in Drive My Car, because strangely, while I said this movie is not complex, it has more personality in this one. Well, if you're a person who loves character development, you're not going to like this film. Because of the pace of the film, there's very little in the way of background story for anyone other than Ultraman. Do you want to know about the elite team? Well, Asami gives you a 10-second recap of each member right at the start. Want to know more about the two baddies in this film? Well, try not to want that. The second baddie at least has a nice little heart-to-heart with Ultraman at the playground. Yet again, another very campy reference that works perfectly, where we get a bit of story as to why he's doing the things he's doing, but that's about it. This movie's all about the humour, effects, and Ultraman, nothing else. This then means that the story is a bit of a nothing burger. The alien comes to Earth and wants to strike a deal to control the planet for technology, or something like that. It's got to do something with using humans as a source of bioweapons. Finally, the movie could have done with a little bit more action. Again, not being familiar with the Ultraman series, I'm not sure if the lack of action is actually standard. There's only a couple of fights in this film, and only a few examples of Ultraman using his powers and weapons. The end fight also seems rather anticlimactic too. The Earth is saved. Yay, perhaps we'll get a sequel. High energy, that's what this movie brings, and a nice smattering of campy, self-referential humour. This movie clearly does not take itself seriously. For example, there's a scene where Taki is using PlayStation VR to group chat in English to other technical nerds. This means you shouldn't take it seriously either. Enjoy this film for what it is. And since I'm now rating movies, I'm giving this one a big 3.5 stars out of 5. Last night when I watched it, it was a 4-star movie. After sleeping on it and thinking about it a bit more, I still really enjoyed it, but it has its flaws that should be acknowledged. But it's fun. Thank you, Japan. More like this, please. Now, could you imagine if the Americans had reimagined Ultraman? You know what? Let's not go there. If you've seen this though, what did you think of it? Thank you for watching this video. Please press like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more action movie trailers, news, and reviews like this.